comes up, please check your cell phone. Make sure it's turned off. And right after that, Elliot, we will do the four-way test, okay? Amazing.
I invite you to pray with me. Gracious God, Lord of the universe, this is the time in our year when many of us turn our attention to the spiritual side of our lives, and we consider what light we will follow. Help us to understand that no matter what name it is given and what language it is expressed, that philosophy called the Golden Rule is indeed the most important true guidepost by which we should mark the trails of our existence. Remind us that it is that concept, if that concept were universally held as a standard by the peoples of all nations and faith, there would be no war, no hunger, no crimes, one against the other. We pray that you continue to bless the work that we as Rotarians from many nations and of many faiths do to help those less fortunate, for we believe that one manifestation of this golden rule is in our Rotary motto, service above self. Please give us an international time of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, inspired by our great leaders and philosophers who themselves were inspired by you, O Lord. And finally, we ask you to guide those who, as our government leaders, make their daily decisions that affect us, so that their efforts, whether international or local, can be motivated by the same great rule of charity and goodwill. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Red. The things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, Steve. There are park buckets on the table. I have to learn how to talk a little silence. Park buckets, somebody please pass that around. Milton Moore is going to come and introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Welcome, welcome, all you Monday morning Easter bunnies. Mighty glad to have you. We have 3 visiting Rotarians. One from Sherrall, South Carolina. We have Jimmy Williamson. Where's Jimmy? Then we have someone, probably the furthest national Rotarian visitation. We have the LaMarche brothers, Ray and Tony from Springfield, Oregon. Where are they? We might be glad to have you all. I hope you enjoy our service. Mighty glad to have you.
We'd like to present on behalf of the Springfield Club a banner of our club, the gateway to the Mackenzie River up in Springfield, Oregon, which is just outside of Eugene, which is just south of Portland.
Very good. Very nice.
Thank you with the banner, Columbia Rotary Club. We hope you guys will come back.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy our summer weather and our southern hospitality. Now, we have Rotarians with visitors, and someone has a microphone. Who has the microphone? Speak loudly, we all have the microphone.
Okay, I'm John Durst, and we're very pleased to have today visiting us Ted Creek, who is the Director of External Affairs with AT&T. David Johnson and my wife Carol, who worked with our speaker for a number of years.
Actually, house yesterday. We got Nika Childs, who's running for the superintendent of education. Was it June 24th? Is the time?
June 10th.
But you're now a part of the membership committee. So that's a happiness aspect for me and an effective way to get things done. Two very quick items, no less important because they are. Number one, Debbie McDonald's aunt, Meredith Clifton, was diagnosed with cancer in her lungs and liver a couple weeks ago. Her liver is shut down and hospice has been called in. Debbie would ask that we all pray for her mother's strength as well as the rest of the family. And then number two, a visitor today, Ted Creech, let me know that Henry Baskins, who was a recently new member with us, just was inducted into the South Carolina Telecommunications Hall of Fame for 42 years of service at Bell South and AT&T. And Henry is currently the executive director of the Greater Columbia Community Relations Council, whom I hope you all get emails from because they're very informative. So thank you very much.
Okay, I've asked Neil Coyle. Neil, are you ready? Come up along with John Davis and Carl Byers. John, if y'all can come up as well. In case you didn't realize, we have a golf tournament next Monday. That is our program. And these guys have been working hard. Neil's been working hard with the Scholars program, which we have just given two more out, and he's going to tell you about. Give you a little bit of background on those guys that got that. And these guys are going to tell you what you need to do to support our program that supports the scholarship. So, Neil, if you'll go first, and you guys, whoever can speak on that.
As Hal said, the scholarship committee awarded two scholarships this past week. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about. I have notes, but I need my glasses to read them. The first is a young man named Terry Sweat. He's a senior at Rotary High School. He, like both of them, has a grade point well above 4.0 and is a member of the National Honor Society. He currently lives with his grandparents, who are retired, and he works at the Rosewood Dairy Bar. If you've never gone there for the best chicken in town. He's going to go to USC and study electrical engineering. I actually got a very nice note from him just today, about 10 minutes before I left to come to this meeting, thanking us for our support of his educational goals. The other scholarship went to a young lady named Caitlin Vance, who's a senior at Columbia High School, also a grade point above 4.0 and a member of the National Honor Society. She comes from a single-parent household, very limited family income, and she's currently working 2 part-time jobs to help pay for college. She's going to go to Winthrop and study communications. They're both amazing young people. Among many that we interviewed, I think everybody on the committee would tell you that if we could have given a scholarship to all 16 people, we would have been happy doing that. But these are two great people that everybody in this room is going to partner. We're helping them go to college, and they'll be great community members in the future.
How much is the scholarship worth annually?
The scholarship is $20,000 total. It's $5,000 a year. The scholarship is paid directly to the school, to their tuition account, when they submit both continued enrollment information and acceptable grades. They have to keep a 3.0 each semester to maintain scholarship payments. By and large, every one of them
speak right now to the golfers. Did you guys see Matt Kuchar chip in on number 18, that's Harbortown? That's the kind of drama we need down here in our golf. So I want to encourage all of you who have signed up to check the sign-up board. I'm going to be right back over there with the golf committee after the meeting. So if you haven't checked, please do check in. If you've given us only your name and a team to be named, come give us your name. We'd like to give Tom Gavin and his group some time to make the signs up, and we want to get our boards up. We need your handicap, and I'd like to refer you to four-way test number 1. So thank you for that. We've got sign-up sheets on your table. We have a great day planned. Lunch at 11 o'clock. Putting tournament starts at 11 o'clock. And shotgun starts at 12:30. So we always have a big time. Bruce Dyer is dying to give away that new Toyota out there. Somehow just knock it in. So thank you for coming out. And now, I'm going to speak to everyone. You don't have to swing a golf club. You just have to swing one of these to help support your golf tournament. So we appreciate everyone's support. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. John Durst, I think Jack and Lund are going to make a special announcement. The board voted to support a project or event. John?
Thank you, President Al. We all remember when Colonel Manning was here and made such a tremendous presentation to us about the role that the Guard plays. And two of the things that I think our corps can be most proud of is its support for local activities and charities, and also its patriotism. Both of those are captured in the fact that our board has very generously and unanimously decided to have a check sent to the South Carolina National Guard Foundation in the amount of $1,000 to support an event they're having on May the 3rd, which Colonel Manning mentioned to us, which is honoring the returning men and women who have been deployed overseas. I think it's very, very special that we will be a part of that event in a tangible way. All of us know of the outstanding contributions that those brave men and women made. After it was known that the board was going to make that very generous donation, I got a call from Colonel McMahon, who shared with me some of his personal insights and perspectives, which I think are very relevant and important, which I've asked him to pass along to you also. Colonel?
Thank you, John. It was my pleasure while I was 9th Air Force Director of Operations to oversee the 169th for about 5 years. They are clearly the best guard outfit in the United States of America, and they richly deserve our support. And I really appreciate you letting me say this, okay? And welcome to you from Springfield. I'm from Corvallis. Oregon State Beavers. Go Beavers.
Thank you, John. And John Johnson, got a lot on the agenda today. John's going to discuss his year coming up. John?
I just want to make a quick announcement on behalf of the upcoming board. We are in the process of working on committees and committee assignments for the upcoming Rotary year, and they're going to be reaching out the next couple of weeks to members to serve on those committees. So if you have any areas of special interest, you can email me or call me, and I'll make sure that we point you in the right direction, get you plugged in, where you can be the biggest asset to the club. And I just want to thank our board, the incoming board. They've been hard at work. The first meeting we had was the week in between December and Christmas. So we've had about 6 meetings since then, planning this upcoming Rotary year, and really appreciative of all the time that y'all put into our club. Thank you.
Okay, Becky Earhart has a couple of Paul Harris presentations to make. And Kenny's.
currently serving proudly as our president of Columbia Rotary. He's also the incoming chairman of the South Carolina Chamber of Small Business Council. He's married to the former Diana Weimer of Columbia and has 5 kids, so he's got a lot on his plate. Congratulations, Alan. Next is Steve Wyatt. And Steve, this is his second Paul Harris Fellow. Steve was born in eastern North Carolina. He's been in Columbia for 30 years, so he's a native now. He is married to Sharon Wyatt, and they have 2 children, a son who is with BB&T and a daughter who will enter Clemson in the fall. He began his career in the IT industry with PMSC, or Policy Management System, when they were still a division of Stevens Group, so that was a long time ago. After PMSC, he went with the sales and marketing role at Agape, and then he joined Computer Consulting Group, becoming the Vice President of Sales. In 1998, Steve co-founded System Tech, an IT services firm that's increased its revenue or staff every year since its inception. As the CEO of System Tech, Steve provides leadership for the firm's employees working in 3 offices throughout the Carolinas. Steve received his BS from Limestone. He has served as on the board of trustees at Limestone twice. He currently serves on the board of Jubilee Academy and the South Carolina Independent Colleges and University. He's a past board member at Palmetto Health Cancer Centers, active in the Columbia Rotary and at East Central Presbyterian Church. Steve, thank you and congratulations. One thing I would like to say is, when I asked Steve why he gives to the Rotary Foundation, his remarks were that, most of his donations, he said, go to local organizations and local charities. He says one thing he really likes about giving to the Rotary Foundation is it not only gives back to programs at Columbia, but it's just one way that he can support really valid nonprofit efforts overseas and internationally. So thank you, Jim.
From being the first woman admitted to Columbia East Rotary in 1989 to the first woman vice president of Rotary International in 2013. Wow. We know that she is a renowned educator. When she was at the height of that career with the South Carolina Department of Education, she had a staff of 93, but not before she had taught in high school, in technical college, at universities. She is not afraid to get in those trenches and work. I bet the word barrier is not even in her vocabulary. One of my favorite quotes about her was our fellow Rotarian house, Alice Berry, and I quote, "When you're around her, you feel you can do more than you could before." That she has a positive energy that is absolutely contagious. I cannot imagine a neater thing for anyone to say about somebody. Everyone, I had a great, great pleasure of meeting her many years ago. I had a little dress shop. And I cannot tell you at what part of our continuum that she might have known that maybe more than just a sales girl, I was the store owner. But I can tell you, none of that ever would have mattered to a woman like this. She needs to greet everybody with regard and respect. She shared with me her global mission, how it made her joyous, how it brought joy to others, how it really matters. And there was never one time that I was around her that I was not so impacted. I thought, wow, this is a woman of substance. This is a person of substance. And everybody, this is our International Vice President, Ann Mathews.
who have been with me for 15, 20, 25 years, and with Rotary connections. So it's always nice to see you. Sometimes I only see you at a Rotary Club, so that is good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to speak about Rotary International, and I appreciate the information that the gentleman said, or the lady quoted about us being Rotary International. Let me take just a moment and address that. We are the Columbia Club of Columbia, South Carolina, or I come from Columbia East, but we need to remember we are Rotary International. We are part of a 1.2 million organization that is doing good works in pockets all over the world. I just came back from 2 weeks in Ghana. I spent 2 weeks. I do a lot of work in developing countries, and I've been in a lot of them, but I spent 2 weeks in Ghana. And ladies and gentlemen, the contributions that you make, the financial contributions that you make, the volunteer efforts that people like me make, going and helping the children, digging water wells and doing all the kinds of things that we do in Rotary, they salvage lives. It saves lives. So remember, we are Rotary International. And today I want to thank you because this morning I called Rotary and I asked them to give me the financial contributions, the amount that this particular Rotary Club had given since your inception in 1916. And you have given $1.3 million to the Rotary Foundation. Give your hands up. Now, as I talk today, I want you to stop and think about what those dollars do. I don't always talk about just the financial contributions you make. I talk about the volunteer efforts. And I'm fully aware of what this Rotary Club does in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm an educator by profession, so I love the fact that you give those 2 scholarships every year. I appreciate that greatly. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rotary Foundation has great respect, integrity, and credibility throughout the world. Bill Gates told us this recently in a meeting in Washington, D.C. You know that he is one of our strategic partners in eradicating polio in the world. And he stood up in the front of about 25 of us. It was a coalition meeting anniversary of the Rotary Foundation. I think we have a lot to be proud of because in the past 97 years, he said, let's set up an endowment whose sole purpose will be to do good in the world. Well, that's all we've done for 97 years, is do good. We've been doing good in the world. And today I want to share with you what is happening in the world. And as I talk, this is not something that's coming out of the Rotary magazine or off the Rotary webpage. This is information that Mathews has experienced herself as she is traveling in developing and third world countries. And what I want to do is share briefly with you some things that are happening, and then I want to bring it right back around and say how the Rotary Foundation is addressing these critical situations. And I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to personalize my comments. I want you to think about your lifestyle. From the time you get up in the morning to the time you take your feet and you put them back in the bed at night. And I want you to realize how fortunate and how blessed you are that we live in Columbia, South Carolina. And I want to talk very briefly on a few of the issues. Let's start with health and hunger to begin with. Ill health is a byproduct of both poverty and illiteracy. 45% of the world's population lives in extreme poverty. Did you know that? 45%. 13 million people starve to death every year. 1 billion people go to bed hungry every night. And if we look specifically at our little children, every 3 seconds, a child dies somewhere in the world from starvation. That's 20 children dying every minute, 27,000 dying every day. Now, if you personalize my comments, how many of you had breakfast this morning? Raise your hand. You're not going to sleep in here, okay? I'm going to involve you. You have to raise this hand or either that hand, okay? And then you had a good lunch. So you've had 2 meals today. My point with you, ladies and gentlemen, is 1 billion people in the world today will not have had what you and I have already had. If we look at health care for just a minute, again, 1 billion people have no access to any kind of health care. WHO, the World Health Organization, which is one of Rotary's strategic partners, tells us that 2/3 of the little children who die each year could be saved through simple and inexpensive technologies if they were only available. Ladies, 600,000 women die yearly because there's no medical care. And again, our little children, every 60 seconds a child goes blind somewhere in the world because there was no medical care. If you personalize my comments and thought about health care here in Columbia, South Carolina, what does good health care mean to you? Let me share with you what it means to me. Good health care means wholesome food, clean water, access to immunizations, access to prenatal care, access to dental hygiene, access to modern surgical techniques to correct crooked limbs, cleft palates, and defective hearts. And the list goes on and on and on. You know, ladies and gentlemen, if I have a foot problem, I can get to a podiatrist. If I have a kidney problem, I can get to a urologist. If I have a heart problem, in most cases, I can get to a cardiologist. In the world that you and I live in, 1 billion people, 1 billion people have no access to any kind of health care. So today, in Columbia, South Carolina, do we have any reason to complain about our health care system? We can get to a clinic, we can get to a doctor, we can get to a hospital. Not sure we need to be complaining and fussing so much. Let's look at water for a minute, water management. Benjamin Franklin, the great inventor, once said, when the well is dry, we know the worth of water. For a lot of people in our world, the well is either very dry or it's very contaminated. Think with me for just a minute. Today or on any given day, half of the people in developing countries are sick because they had to drink contaminated water. 1.1 billion people do not have access to safe, clean water. And again, our little children, they are our future. Every 8 seconds, a child under the age of 5 dies of a waterborne disease. 40% of the world's population do not have basic sanitation facilities. And I'll ask you today, I tell you to look at your lifestyle. I get real personal with you. Think about what it would be like if you did not have that nice bathroom at home. Think about what it would be like if you did not have that commode, ladies and gentlemen. I get very basic with you because I want you to think about it. How many of you have to tell the truth? How many of you had a shower or a bath last night or this morning? Raise your hand. I see you looking around. You're looking to see who's not raising his hand, right? Another question. How many of you brushed your teeth today? Raise your hand. You're saying, Ann, why are you asking those questions? This is the big question. This is the four-way test. The four-way test, okay? As you were brushing your teeth, how many of you turned off or cut off that water? Raise your hand. Come on, come on. Okay, we need a lot more in Columbia, South Carolina that cut that water off. Why am I telling you that, ladies and gentlemen? Water is a precious commodity. It is something we cannot produce. We cannot produce it. It's a non-exchangeable resource. It is a LOAN, a loan from nature. You know, a lot of you have probably traveled in developing countries more than I have. But I have seen people now in several countries wash their clothes, bathe, cook their food, and drink from the same contaminated water. And as long as I live, I will never take a glass of good, clean water for granted again, and neither should you. And you know what else we need to be doing if we're not doing it? We need to teach our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, everybody how to conserve water. I have seen people fight over contaminated water. I've not seen a killing over contaminated water, but I'm told that that is happening in our developing countries. We need to conserve it, we need to value it, we need to appreciate it, and we need to tell our children. Because if we look at the future, look at what people tell us down the road, 3 or 4 decades from now, we could have the same problems in this great country that you and I live in that are occurring right now in developing countries. And we don't want that. We need to conserve and value good, clean water. Let's look at literacy or education. I'm an educator by profession, so this one is close to my heart. Quoting from a past president of Rotary International, Bill Boyd from New Zealand, who said, and I like this a lot, excuse me. He said, literacy, more than anything else, is the escape hatch from the cycle of poverty. I say this, literacy is the first step to preventing and eliminating most of the world's problems. 26% of the adults in the world cannot read, write, sign their name legally, or do simple math. 2/3 of the world's illiterate are women. 2/3 are women. And we know the reasons for a lot of this. I've seen it in some countries. UNICEF, another one of our strategic partners, states that the mortality rate of children under the age of 5 drops by half when the mothers have a basic or primary education. That's why it's so important that we support the schools in our communities. I know you do things with the schools. I think all of our Rotary clubs in Columbia and Lexington do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I appeal to you to do that, to support the educational system, both public and private. Those children are our future, and we need to do all we can to help them get the best formal education that they can possibly get. Being literate or being educated enables people to take care of their water resources, to take care of their health and hunger issues, and to teach future generations how to manage these issues. I repeat, literacy is the first step to preventing and eliminating most of the world's problems. Now, I've touched on very briefly poverty, health, hunger, water, and education. You know, through the foundation, let me tell you what I have seen. When a few dollars go into the Amazon jungle, when a few dollars go into the villages in Thailand, when you go in to immunize children in India, or you go and you dig water wells in West Africa, in Ghana, and there are many more countries where I've seen this. This is what the foundation does. Rotary International. The naked are clothed, the hungry are fed, the blind are enabled to see, the homeless secure shelter, the sick are given medical help, the illiterate are given opportunities to learn how to read, to write, and to do math. And thousands upon thousands upon thousands are given clean water to drink, and in cooking their food, bathing, and in washing their clothes. And with what we've done with polio, let me mention this briefly. We're down now, many of you know this, to 3 countries, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. In meeting with that coalition in Washington just last year, and we have a meeting coming up in May, we believe that we will be able to certify the eradication of polio in wiping it out of Nigeria next year. We know it's going to take us until 2018, we believe, to get it out of Afghanistan and Pakistan, and you know the reasons for that. We're working all kinds of ways to immunize those children so they will not be victims for life. Because when you have polio, it's not just a childhood disease, it is a lifelong disease. And I want to share one statistic with you to let you know exactly what is going on in the world and what we're doing with polio. Listen to this if you don't mind. Last year, 1.3 billion doses of the oral polio vaccine were administered to 429 million children in 70 countries at a cost of $170 million, and 820,000 doors were knocked on every month. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what Rotary is doing. That is what Rotary International is doing. That's what your foundation is doing. Stop and think for just a minute. We will wipe polio off the face of the earth. We will do that. And the people who should be given the credit, a lot of people will be, but it should be Rotary. Rotarians have now given $1.3 billion themselves to help eradicate polio. I truly believe it will be done. I hope it's done in my lifetime. And remember, this will be a tremendous legacy, because your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren can say, you know, my granddad had something to do with that. Or my grandmother contributed to that. Or my aunt immunized children in India. I think that's a wonderful legacy for Rotarians to leave, because only one other disease has been wiped off the face of the earth. And what was that? Smallpox. So let's wipe polio off. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the contributions you give, for all of the efforts that are going on in the world to help the less fortunate. I thank you. But I also thank you to help us wipe polio off the face of the earth. Now, closing down, I don't talk very long. I want to leave you with 4 points today to ponder, to think about. And I want to ask you to think about how you in this wonderful club of Columbia, and you are our premier club in District 7770. There's no question about that. There are 4 things I want you to think about and how you can help with these situations. Ladies and gentlemen, a world that's half starving will never be a world at peace. Columbia also. A world that is half sick will never be a world at peace. A world that's half illiterate will never be a world at peace. A world that's filled with prejudice, poverty, intolerance, hatred, and ignorance will never be a world at peace. But we Rotarians, we real Rotarians, we're not resume Rotarians, we're real Rotarians. We want to make a difference. We can do something. Each of us in our own way, in our little old corner of the world, we can give value to lives where there seems to be none. And we can give hope. We can give hope to situations where none exist. I know, I've been there. Giving value and giving hope are peace-building efforts. And after all, what is the purpose of Rotary? What is the mission in being a Rotarian? It is to build peace on this earth and to help the less fortunate as we walk through. So as I leave you today, I want to thank you again for everything you're doing. I'll ask you to give just a little bit more. Give just a little bit more to improve this community that we live in, because it is a great community. And give a little bit more to the Rotary Foundation so we can help in these pockets across the world that need our help. Remember, you can make a difference. That's why you are a Rotarian. You are a real Rotarian. You're not a resume Rotarian who comes and eats and leaves and goes home and doesn't do anything more. As I leave you today, I want to leave you with a quote from the greatest orator, I believe, who ever lived, and a gentleman that I really value and appreciate and have read everything I think he ever said, and that's Sir Winston Churchill. And I think he epitomizes what we should be doing in Rotary. And he said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless in all you do. Questions, anybody? Anything? About a few minutes? Yes. Sorry.
What's been your most challenging task while connected to international Rotary?
The question is, what has been my most challenging dance? Task. Excuse me. Sorry, task. Immunizing children in India. My heart breaks. And as I immunize one and put those little drops in, and it's tough because you've already seen thousands of victims on the streets in India. How many have been to India other than me? Okay, you know what I'm talking about then. You just see victim after victim, and a lot of their families, most of them, once they have polio, they kick them out on the streets anyway. And it's so sad. So my challenge has been to immunize as many children as I can in the time limit that we're given. And that's been the challenge, the greatest challenge. I want to help everybody who can't do it. Going anytime and feeding hungry children. Just coming back from Ghana, and I'm going back to Ghana because I think that is my place. I saw so many villages, just like you see in a movie or TV, the chiefs and all. I went into those huts with those chiefs. And let me just tell you about one situation. In one village, we put maybe 6 or 8 mechanized water wells. Rotary did, the foundation did. And I went, the reason I went with 18 people to see how our money had been spent in Zone 33. That's what we're in. And I wanted to see how we could maybe give them more money and do more good. Well, I saw it. Not $1 can be wasted in Ghana. But in one village, let me just tell you this. Women had to walk 5 miles a day, twice a day, to bring water back, sitting on their heads, contaminated water, to do all the things I talked about today. Well, what we did, we went in and put those 4 mechanized wells in, and they now have clean water. They don't have to walk 5 miles a day, twice a day. And we also went in and taught them, Rotary did, gave them a livelihood. We taught them how to make baskets. So since 2009, We have now provided enough funds, taught those women how to make those baskets. We have now educated 600 girls in that one village. Now tell me that's not making a difference.
And we appreciate your enthusiasm and your determination. Tell us a typical day for Ann Mathews in Evanston or in Chicago. What are you doing in
I head back there in the morning.
Okay.
I'm in board meetings all day, and I look at projects. I see the worthiness of them. I try to get on the telephone. I work with people. Can you rework this? Can you do this? Can we go to 5 more clubs, put 50 more thousand in it? If we can, we can do a mechanized. What we're trying to do now, we want to go in and impact villages with hundreds of thousands. When I was in Kenya, this is the example. We worked it out in Evanston. We want to go in and put in clean water and sanitation for thousands of people. On this side of a hill or a mountain are villagers. On this side is another. And in between maybe cattle and things that we're watering also so they can have food to eat. So I sit and work on those kinds of things all the time. I don't know what you really think. That's a good question. But I have worked my whole life, but I have never worked as hard as I have this last year. That's the truth. 18 hours a day most days. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I love what I do. I am blessed. And I thank you. I mean, I'm from here. Whatever I am is because of my parents and because of the belief you have in me today. I love what I do. And I really work hard for you and for the less fortunate in the world. I hope I answered your question. But it's in a boardroom and it's dealing with papers and telephone calls and budgets. This week I'm going to deal with budgets all week. And then I fly. I just came back to just give you one idea. You didn't ask for all of this. But I was in Jerusalem, I was in Berlin, I was in Korea, I was in Vietnam, I was in Milan, and in between California, New York, I was in Canton, Ohio Friday. I'm all over the globe, working and speaking and trying to pull in money for the foundation to help the people who need it. That's my life. More than you wanted to hear, right? Anything else? Let me say this and I'm going. Yes, sir.
Where's the largest club in the world?
In Seattle, unless it's changed. Something like 600 or whatever there. I love this facility. I'm just going to say that. I haven't had a chance to come down here. And I was wondering, am I going to find my way downtown? Because I always go out and see what's my club meets out there. I love this facility. I really do. It's nice down here. Any other questions? I want to add that. I just love it. Any other questions? Good luck to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, just a little commentary. I think we got just a second. I think something that Ann said bears repeating, that we are considered the premier club in District 777 that, we